Hey, yo, guys, this is Guido coming at you with another CC interview, this time with Nick Shocks. Nick Shocks, welcome to the show, Nick Shocks. How you doing, man?
Thanks, man. I'm good. Hopefully you guys are well. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I hope everybody's feeling well with all the shenanigans that are going on out there. So, hey, Nick is one of the newer CCs. He also happens to be one of the better players. So, I've done a lot of these interviews. Well, a lot of six. We'll call that a lot. But we've had all different kinds of skill levels. But Nick is right there at the top. He's the guy that's always crushing your three marks. Okay, so if you want someone to blame, he's one of the guys that's done that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, there, Nick, as one of the newer CCs, man. What is Nick Shock's CC thing all about?
So, I am pretty new. I've started about 8 months ago, just on a whim, and this has all come pretty quick. So as far as what the stream's about, I mean, for the most part, it's trying to have a not angry experience with World of Tanks while achieving various goals, such as the occasional three mark, various WN8, collecting tanks, helping people out, so on and so forth.
Oh, very good, very good. So you do enjoy the three marking thing. I did watch a bunch of your streams out there,
Mhm.
and one thing I thought was, I'm going to call it kind of interesting, but a lot of people try to do the PG-13 thing, but that's not Nick Shocks.
No, now, funny enough, I'm pretty good with my family as far. I'll never curse in front of my parents, but God forbid my grandparents. Not a chance. I won't even utter a I won't even utter crap in front of my grandparents. I won't do
What
it.
if they saw the stream?
Oh, I make it very clear. I hermetically seal that shit. Nobody sees this outside of, I think, my one cousin who hangs out occasionally, but nobody even knows outside of the fact I stream
Oh, it's like an
anything
alter
about.
ego superhero thing, huh?
I, well, not necessarily, because provided I'm not with my family, because I was raised in an Italian household, so there's a lot of
All right.
you know, don't do this in front of your grandparents, don't do this in front of your parents. So it's as far as when I'm alone, or with friends or whatever. What you see on stream is what you'd get in that instance, where I'm just hanging out with a bunch.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it so much of an alter ego as it is pretty close to just how I am as a
So gamer Nick there.
if you want to call it that, sure.
So, like I said, you're one of the better players that I've seen, especially within the CC group.
Mm.
So, give us some of your philosophy about how you play the game. Well, how do you go about
So
it?
I mean, it's at this point I've played about 40,000 battles of this game, if you could even imagine that. I don't know how I've gotten that far, but at this point, it sort of gets to the level of I'm not really trying to achieve anything in the sense of I don't set out for any, like, this is my end goal. Right now my end goal is I want to have fun and just improve and just be better. That's kind of where my whole philosophy is at with this game. It's just I wouldn't call myself, how do I phrase this? So I'm sure you're familiar with the 99% to the 100%. I would say that last percent of players, which is like, for example, Knight Rider, who's another CC, and the commander of, or no, the top caller of Maho,
Right.
which is the Clanaman, is he is closer to that 100%. He'd be like 99.9, and I'd gauge myself at sort of the bottom end of top players, but still in the grand scheme of the player base, as much as I like to downplay it, I am a better player for sure,
Yeah.
and I try to bring that to the people in my chat as much as possible.
I like to call myself a below average unicum.
Yeah, that's about the title I take
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable.
So you're one of the younger players. I say that because I'm obviously older, and this game does kind of skew older
For
to a large
sure.
extent. So it's interesting to me to talk to the younger players. Did you? How long have you been playing, and did you come from another game? Were you an FPS guy first, or is this your only game, or how's that going?
So I started out, and again, yeah, I'm 24 as of this past December, so I like to think generally pretty young. I started kind of gaming on the Nintendo 64 with my mom when I was a little kid, and then as I grew up, games changed. So yeah, I did come from particularly Xbox 360, which was Call of Duty, it was Halo, it was all that FPS kind of background, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But as far as World of Tanks, I started, I want to say in 2014. The account I used for streaming is the only account I've ever had. Uh, I've built it up from the ground. But yeah, I started in 2014. I've been playing for a pretty long time, but it's not the first tank game I played on PC. I actually started with War Thunder
Oh, right.
way back in 2013. I don't even know if they had tanks back then. I don't think they did, but that was the first kind of forte into one of these tech tree grinding PvP games on PC.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. So, when I talk to the younger crowd, I'm always interested uh, how they go about getting better at the game, because the reason I bring this up is it's probably about 4 years ago, and I want to say might have been Air G or somebody. He
Hmm.
made a video and he sat down. I think he was still in college at that point, and it may not be him, but it doesn't matter who it was. It was one of the younger players that was very good, and
Right.
he sat down. He broke down the game, and as I watched him, like, that is exactly what I have done for an entire career of flying fighters, is how you break down your performance. And I'm watching this young kid do this, and I'm like, that's fantastic. That's someone who gets it. So for you, because you are good, and we're going to get this in a minute, because you actually do some analysis for people for their
Hmm.
games. How do you go about getting better at the game? You mentioned that earlier, you like to do that, but what's your plan and how do you do that?
So, as far as improving, the best kind of method for it is I'll be frank, look to yourself, introspective, right? In the sense of you are the constant in every single game. If you're losing 20 games in a row, as much as it's nice to blame other people, that is not exclusively on other people. In at least one of those 20 games, you, I'm sure, had a chance to impact it in a more useful way. So when it gets to what did I do wrong, or well, that right there is kind of my point. The first question I ask myself in a game is what did I do wrong? It's never, well, my team, fucked up. They didn't bother going, down the 1-2 line, right? It's always I look to myself to what I could have done better, and then I look at what I can't control, which is generally team deployment and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. It's being able to internalize your own mistakes. We can look at the rest. We can look at what the team did, what the other team did, how RNG affected it. That's all important, and you've got to take that into
Absolutely,
consideration. But if
for
you're
sure.
looking to improve, guess who the only person you can control is in the entire match? That's
Right, it's
you.
yourself.
That's you, and maybe a little help from a platoon mate or something
Oh,
as
for
as
sure.
you're
That's
going.
massive.
So, how did you become a CC? What was the road to that?
I mean, I'll be honest, it's not as arduous a journey as you'd probably expect.
Yeah, I agree
I
with
started
that.
streaming, yeah, I started streaming on August 8th, and I think I became a CC by, oof, man, maybe the end of September or a little bit later in. Thanks to some other CC support, such as True Voodoo, hosted me, I think, 4 times in the beginning, along with some others, Splitting Origins, I was not a CC, but another streamer, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of people that kind of like thrust my stream to where it is now. Streaming is, as I'm sure you know, and anything really, YouTube as well, is not something you just kind of hop into and then it works. There's generally a lot that has to go right in the sense of your own performance and a little bit of luck to kind of get anywhere. So it kind of just fell in my lap, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that in a sense. You kind of said you don't just you don't just start, but you kind of do. You start, but you can't expect to streak to the top immediately. You've got to
Right.
put the time in, and you got to try to learn as you go, and you do the same thing as you do learn the game. You learn
Oh,
what you're doing
absolutely.
with the stream or the Twitch or YouTube or whatever the case may be. So watching your stream then.
Mhm.
I'm always impressed by players like you, because what's really interesting is how smooth you play the game, and you're talking to the people on stream, and you're discussing what you're doing sometimes you're just talking, but you're always smoothly driving the tank around and just shooting away.
Right.
Is that something you try consciously to do, or has it just come natural on playing the game like that?
I wouldn't say it's something I try to do anymore. As I mentioned, I'm about 40,000 games deep, and I'm sure a lot of them are like tier 8 and up. Most of them at this point are. It's just kind of muscle memory at that point. And it's hard for me because people ask, why did you do this? And I don't even think to cover why I made, play X, Y, and Z, just because it's muscle memory. It's just it made sense in my head. So I have to kind of remind myself in some cases to, describe why I'm doing this, why I'm driving here, shooting that, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and that's actually a great segue then into one thing that Nick does on his stream. And I don't know if you do this every night, you can fill everyone in, but basically he'll
Mhm.
take replays that people send him in real time. He'll go ahead and play it and discuss it on stream and give an analysis. What was the genesis of that? And what are you trying to do? Obviously, you're trying to help people out, but
Mhm.
what's the genesis and the philosophy on doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember Zevin. He used to stream World of Tanks a long time ago, and he's actually the person I got the replay review idea from.
Yeah,
I remember way back when I would, as a improving player, I didn't hit purple WN8 Unic, if you want to call it that, until like 20,000 games. I've been improving for a long time, and those videos, those streams he did were so impactful for me, and for whatever reason he stopped streaming, and I haven't seen anyone else doing this, and I figured I wouldn't by a long shot call myself the best person to do this, but I think to an extent I have something to offer, and I will always try and help people who want to be helped. If there is a desire to improve,
yeah.
I'll never turn that down.
Yeah, that is key. You don't. So I do that on my YouTube channel. I'll take replays and do it, but that's more of a
Hmm.
kind of not real time. Sometimes I'll do what I call a first look. I'll just actually not even look at it and just talk about it as we go. Mostly because I'm kind of interested if I'm catching everything myself in real time.
I
Vice
love that. Yeah.
looking at it 3 times and going, okay, I kind of see what we're doing here. Sometimes if
Hmm.
you just look at it and get that first initial look, but I think you're exactly right. If somebody wants the help, I am more than happy to give it to them because there are so
Absolutely.
many who don't.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was that person for a long time. Screw you guys. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to
Yeah,
scout this. I could do it.
yeah,
And it happens. So many players are in that same kind of bracket. The replay thing, as you mentioned, I actually find that watching it on the first look and not sort of preemptively, viewing it, I find not only helps the viewer, but it also helps me to the extent that I can see and get more experience on how things develop. I can get in the head of someone else and see how they're taking something. It just step in somebody else's shoes, if you want to call it that. And I
yeah.
find it's very useful.
Have you learned that, at least for me, as I've done this now about 2 years, looking at people's replays and giving them advice, is
Mhm.
I've learned just about as much as I think I've taught. Have you found that at all?
Um, I wouldn't say to the same extent, just by the raw amount of time I spent in game, but there are things, particularly there's one viewer I have from the SEA server, the Southeast Asian, that I've learned every time I've watched a replay. I've learned about a new spot on maps I've played 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Karelia, Prokhorovka. And there are the instances, absolutely, where I agree. I am learning things that I never knew even existed. So it's definitely a two-way street to an extent, without a doubt.
All right, so that actually is interesting because you mentioned Corellia and you mentioned new spots, and this is
Mhm.
one of the things where I've learned a lot. But here's the question for you: Do you have encounter and assault on?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I It spices the game up. I think standard's too boring. It just gives me something else to do, and there's also a lot of potential farm on encounter and assault, depending on.
Yeah, and I'm the same. And one of the things about encounter and assault is you learn the same positions, but different aspects of them, or even different positions. Because late game, when there's a lot less guns and tanks on the board, some of
Hmm.
these positions are more or less important. And if you know different angles for them, you're able to react better. And I find encounter and assault lets you do that quite a bit.
Oh, I completely agree. And Corellia is a great point. There are a lot of spots on that map that become not very powerful in standard and become game winning in assault.
It's interesting because that map is probably one of the poster children for plays completely different.
Oh, for sure, I completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so what describe your community, man? What is Nick Shock's community all about?
I mean, a lot of it is I kind of put an emphasis on try to not get angry, right? This is a game. We're all here with the intent to kind of disconnect from reality and have a little bit of fun. At the core level, I hope we're trying to have fun.
Yeah,
So I do my best to try and convey that to people. Like, we're just trying to have a good time. You don't know where other people are coming from. Some people, could be just not as good. They have no interest to improve. So just control, and it goes back to control yourself. Try and have fun. And if you're not having fun, I pride myself on this. As a CC, I tell people don't play the game. If you're not having fun, you're just gonna it's just gonna ruin it for yourself. Or you're not gonna want to come back.
yeah, yeah,
Take a day, take a few days, and don't play. Because that drive, I'm sure we've all done it. I'm gonna quit this game. I'm never gonna play this again. 2 weeks later, shit, I really want to go play World of Tanks again.
yeah.
That drive is there. It's just a matter of don't burn yourself out so hard.
That's
If it's
terrible
not
advice, Nick. I mean,
take some
come on,
time.
we're supposed to rage and delete the game and all that.
Oh, yes. Of course.
Because good players are mean and top clans have hacks and all that stuff.
Oh, of course. The Maho
Yeah.
hack pack. We all know it's there.
Oh my gosh. All right. So since we're getting into a little bit of controversy here, let's see. Let's just do some rapid fire. Artillery, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Hate it.
Yeah. Why? Just
I don't think you should be rewarded for being bad, and I don't think that I think it's dumb that you can hit somebody across the map without having
all right, man. Wheeled tanks, yes or no?
wheel tanks. Again, you are hitting the wheels, not the hull. They're two separate things. Download battle hits. You can get it in any major mod pack. Look at where you're hitting. I promise you, the problem is not the wheels. It's the fact that they're super fast, and it's very difficult to hit the hull. But I promise, the wheel armor, it's just you're missing. And I know that's semantics for some people, but
Well, I think they're hitting the wheels, but the wheels don't matter unless you actually
right,
damage
'cause
the
it's
front
not
or
the
rear
hull.
one. Right.
it's the same as you hit
Yeah.
a tank, right?
Right.
If you hit below the hull on the tracks, you hit the tank, but you didn't do any damage. It's
Yeah.
just the wheels are larger.
Yeah, I'll admit I have a hard time hitting them. I mean, I still have pretty good
Oh, for
reflexes,
sure.
but I'm getting older, and it's very difficult. The auto aim is. I won't get into my problems with it. We're interviewing you, not me.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, what do you think the fix is, though? Quickly, what do you think? I want wheeled tanks in the game. I just don't like
Yeah.
the way they're mech'd.
So, I personally agree with you. I like the idea of them, but oh man, there are some problems. One thing that I think would go a long way to alleviate a lot of players' frustration, particularly, is treat the wheels like you would tracks. So if you damage a wheel and then the wheeled tank takes damage, get assist for it. I don't think that's a super difficult system, and it would feel a little more rewarding. Not like you just wasted, let's say, 5,000 credits on a premium round and you hit the wheels.
Yeah.
At least if somebody else hits it, you'll get something out of it.
What
I
about
think it'd be
slowing them
great
down
first
a
step.
little more when they get hit? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's a fine idea as well,
Yeah.
for sure.
I like the
No-
mechanic
no
they keep going. I mean, it adds spice,
It's
like
a
you
wheeled
said.
car, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it adds spice. But they should slow down more, in my opinion, anyway, when they
Yeah,
get hit.
I have no disagreement with that.
All right, here we
sure.
go. Anonymizer, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. It reinvented the game for me.
Oh, it's terrible.
100%.
It's terrible.
Oh, focus is real, dude. 100%. Absolutely. And it still happens with the anonymized account. I've seen posts of people saying they'll focus outright on anonymized players,
Yeah.
not knowing if they're good or not, just to discourage the use of it. I personally heavily advocate for it.
You know what's weird about that is you can't really tell someone's anonymized. I mean, sort of yes, because the way the names are
Oh,
structured.
some of them you can 100%.
Yeah, but generally, that's a lot of studying of names up in the corner while you're trying to play the game that I don't have time for.
Well, that's the thing. The first 30 seconds, that's what I do. I look at, I open as we're queuing in the name list and then the tank list, and you can kind of get an idea of particularly what you're fighting, and then sometimes you'll notice the names. But that's
Well, I
mostly-
totally do that with the tanks, but you're saying you actually look at the names to see if there's anonymous people?
not necessarily for anonymous people. I'll
Right.
just look at names because
Yeah.
I mean, you can get an idea of who's going to be be performing well based on clans,
Sure.
so on.
If it's a recognizable name, if they're not anonymous or
Absolutely.
whatever. So that brings the next question though. Do you run 1.8 as the for the
I
stats
don't.
mod? Okay.
I don't because you can't run it with anonymizer. I used to run it just for myself
Yeah.
because I like seeing myself improve. It's like a visual kind of
Yeah.
indicator. Yeah.
Pure vanilla, or are you running other like garage mods and things like that?
Oh, I run mods absolutely.
Okay.
Not too many. A lot of them are quality of life. It's kind of contrary. I run like I don't know 15 to 20 mods, but a lot of them are very small things, and I try to keep my game pretty minimalistic and as close to vanilla with some minor quality of life things.
Right. Right. So what do you think about power creep? Let's structure that a little bit more. Let's narrow that down.
Mhm.
Tier 10 reward tanks.
Oh yeah. Okay. So the chieftain is overtuned. Period. I wholeheartedly agree. Something a lot of people will probably disagree with. The chieftain's a better tank than the 279
I agree.
by a long
Oh,
shot.
I agree with that 100%.
The chieftain hull down, you're not dealing with it. You
Yeah.
leave. You
Yeah.
don't fight it. You leave. The 279, to an extent, based on the more experience you have with it. Funny story, if we have time for it.
Yeah.
I played the 279 on Erlenberg in a 1v1 tournament. Which, by the way, do tournaments if you want free gold. They're right on the Watt website. I used to do those before the Christmas boxes to generate gold. And I was drowned twice in my 279, full HP to 0, by an IS-7. It's not as heavy as a heavy tank you would think. Straight down, head in the river, done. Twice.
Well, there you
So
go,
you
folks.
can definitely counter it.
You just heard it from Nick Shocks. The best way to counter the 279 early is to drown it. That's awesome. Yeah, I would agree with you on the chieftain. What do you think about the 907?
The 907, like the 140 is comparable as far as like in the sense if you look to an up and coming clan, right? So if you avoid the top 3 and you go down to like the top 20 clans, right? Those other 17, not everybody at that point has a 907, and the 140 is a much closer kind of vehicle
Match.
than the
Yeah.
T62A. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a 907, don't be too upset. Just get a 140 till you can get in a clan and get a 907. The 907 is good. I don't think it's as much a problem, I suppose,
Yeah.
as the chieftain is, but it is definitely good.
So what did you think about so with that in mind, talking about the reward tanks and they're
Mhm.
the big complaint about ranked. What was your opinion? First of all, did you do ranked? And what was your opinion of ranked?
Yeah. So ranked is a mode that I personally don't enjoy. I played the first 20 qualifying games just to get some rewards and play for a little bit, but every time I play ranked, I'll be honest, I always try to preach the don't get frustrated thing. I get frustrated.
Yeah.
As someone who generally is pretty calm and not tilted, I suppose, ranked gets me through the roof. I can't stand it. It is a lot of chieftains. It's a lot of 279s, for example. Artillery is even more punishing in that mode when you see it because there's more on the line, right?
Yeah.
There's the chevrons on the line. So as soon as that first arty hit comes, in a random game, it's whatever. I'll go hop on another battle.
Yeah.
In ranked, it's get away from me. Don't even look at me.
Yeah.
Just leave the game and let me be.
That's right.
I get a lot more frustrated and it really bothers me. So ranked is not something I particularly enjoy.
Well, with the role experience, you can actually go through an entire ranked with Artie, and it's basically easy mode.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm aware.
I looked at the role experience. I tested it the first season of this time, and it was easy. I got a chevron nearly every single game. My chevron percentage was super high. I wasn't really winning that many. The Artie just lasts till the end, so you can get in the top 3 fairly easily,
right.
even if you get steamrolled. And it's even better if you get steamrolled because no one else has damage, and you're the one getting
Right.
some until you die. It's,
Yeah. I've not partaken in the artillery thing in ranked, but I didn't even think of it like that. That's disgusting.
yeah, it's crazy. All right, so skill-based matchmaking. What do you think?
If that came to the game, I'd probably quit. And let me clarify that. if that came to random battles. I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything wrong, and this is a problem in a lot of other games. If you look at, for example, the newest Call of Duty, right? They have, to an extent, skill-based matchmaking and randoms. There are people who don't get to play with their friends because if their friends are worse than they are, they come in and get decimated. They
Yeah.
get brutalized. They have no chance. And I'd hate to see that come to World of Tanks in randoms. Now, a skill-based matchmaking mode separate of randoms, I think would be great because there is a desire for it, 100%.
What do you think about it at just at tier 10?
I again in randoms, I don't want it.
Yeah.
It would
You're
kill
talking
me.
about a separate mode. You're talking about a better ranked, something that's better than
Basically,
somehow better than
yeah,
ranked. Yeah.
absolutely.
I think the for me the reward system for ranked is what kind of makes it so bad.
Hmm.
Everyone wants that tank, and it's a good deal. It's a cool tank. It's something to
Oh, for
get.
sure.
But that's why everyone is so plays the way they do is because they're trying to get that tank as fast as they can. It's not for
Hmm.
love of the game or the mode. It's because they want the
Exactly.
tank.
That's a great way. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
So what other games does Nick Shocks play, and do you ever stream any other games?
So yeah, actually today, at the time of recording this, Sunday, April 5th, I'm going to be streaming for the first time not World of Tanks. Normally, World of Tanks, I stream 7 days a week, 6 hours a day from 6 p.m. Eastern to
Holy crap! I
midnight.
didn't know that. Every
Yeah,
day. Wow.
every single day for
I
six
missed that
hours.
somehow. Okay.
Yeah. Sundays, I only stream for 3 hours because I hang out with my family on Sunday. I eat a dinner before midnight like a
You,
normal adult would.
you don't eat dinner the
Um,
other days.
I just kind of I eat a late lunch, but not necessarily a dinner
Someone
with
just
my
chucks a
family.
sandwich at you through the door, and
Yeah, in so many words, sure. But I do play other games. Modern Warfare, Fallout 4. I actually got back into War Thunder recently. I think the planes are super fun.
yeah, I've
I
heard
play a
that.
lot.
Should I do that? People have told me to do that. I should maybe try the War Thunder planes. That sounds
I think the
interesting.
grind is less egregious.
Yeah,
It's a lot more free in the sense of you can grind an entire tech tree with a premium, so
yeah,
it's a little less intensive. If you want something just chill on the side, I'll be honest though, I always come back to World of Tanks. I don't really
I
play it
know.
off stream anymore, but because I play 6 hours a day. But I always come back to this game. There is other stuff I play though, like I
That's
mentioned.
actually interesting, though. Yeah, you would not be wanting to play it anymore if you're doing 6 hours straight of it, would you?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
generally don't. Occasionally, if family wants to play, like a cousin or just the other day, I helped out one of my mods by watching him play, just to try and give him some feedback again live, like the replay review stuff.
yeah.
But I generally don't play.
I would love if there was some kind of over-the-shoulder capability during a game where you could actually ride along and help people out. That would be pretty cool.
Oh, for sure, that'd be wonderful. I mean, it would make the sort of, I guess, tutoring, if you want to call it that,
Yeah,
whatever word you decide to use, so much easier. And again, whatever I can do to help people who want to be helped,
yeah.
I'm there for it.
All right, so you're a Twitch partner, is that right?
Yeah, I got it
Okay,
on December 8th.
nice. Congrats on that. So
Thank you.
one thing I also do with my channels is it's kind of a documentation of the journey of this whole. I call it the industry around the industry. You've got the gaming industry, but then you've got all the stuff around it: the Twitch, the YouTube,
Hmm.
the peripherals, all the different things. So for somebody who's looking to do this, all right, whether they want to do it on the side or whether they want to get really serious about it, give them a little advice on how you made it happen up the partner.
Sure. So again, I got there pretty quick. I was very fortunate, but when you get in, so I've actually had this question asked before. Hopefully, I can convey this in a useful way. Uh, get your friends to watch. Get your family to watch. Tell your parents if they have some free time, and people generally do have some free time now. Um, whatever you can do to kind of boost above the 0, 1, or 2 viewers,
Yeah,
just getting to 5, especially in a game of World of Tanks, or this was a channel of World of Tanks. It's not like you're playing Fortnite where you have 20,000 channels with like 20 people. The list gets short pretty quick, so whatever you
right.
can do to kind of prop yourself up will be massively helpful. Definitely don't go into this starting out as I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna get 100 viewers by you know May, right? If it happens, that is outstanding. But you have to go into it with the expectation of just how it generally is. It is,
Yeah,
for the most part, at least a slow burn. It's not something you can just force. Definitely, if you're not having fun with it, people will notice. There are streams I end on my schedule if I'm having that bad of a day because I don't think it puts on a good show. You definitely want to put on
Yeah,
something people want to watch.
yeah,
For me, my stream is I wouldn't stream it if I wouldn't watch it. And I think that's a
right.
great way to go about it. If you wouldn't watch your own stream, no one else is going to watch it either.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna steal that one.
Go
If
ahead.
you don't want to watch you, why the hell would anybody else want to?
Yeah, I think it really applies.
I mean, there's probably, I don't know. Help me with this. I'm guessing how many people in World of Tanks on Twitch
Mhm.
pull 100 viewers? 2 dozen, maybe.
Well, it depends. See, for me, I actually look at this between, to be frank, the regions. So you have the North American content creators, right? You have the
Yeah,
EU and you have the RU.
yeah,
I think Actep was on a little while ago, or he might still be on, with like 4,500 people.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's you have to look in your bracket. The reason, or part of the reason I started streaming so late is because, quite frankly, I felt I couldn't compete against a lot of the EU
Right.
guys,
Yeah,
Skill, Dez,
yeah, yeah.
QB, so on and so forth.
Well, I filter mine by English, so that takes some of the RU guys. But I know when I look at it and I start streaming,
Mhm.
I'm on second or third row, sometimes
Right.
third, but I'm pulling 20, 30 viewers. The
Mhm.
first two rows are the big guys, maybe over 100. And
Right.
but it seems to be, to me, it's about the same 2 dozen or so people most of the time. And again, I've filtered it by English, so I don't get the RU guys. So there's probably more
Right.
than,
Right.
considering. A lot of times I don't even think about RU because that's just a
Mhm.
completely different world than EU and NA. But
Yeah.
it's interesting, like you said, it's not that deep a field. And if,
Mhm.
if you just go at it, you might be able to build something. But you got to be honest with yourself with this as well, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If
Of
if
course.
if you're a what's the word I'm looking for? If you're just kind of a nasty person or a jerk, you're probably not going to get very far.
Right. And again, it goes back to if you're not going to watch your own stream, no one else will.
Yeah,
You have to, you know, do something people are interested in. People
yeah,
give the time of day, especially with how, and I'm sure you've seen this, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it may be, social media is very competitive.
yeah.
It's hyper. You have to do what you can to kind of get yourself on the edge.
All right. So switching gears, if I hand you here's your magic wand. What's the one thing you would change in World of Tanks?
I mean, it's a pretty big question, but if I had to do something quick,
Yeah,
I would change it to one artillery or less. I wouldn't do even two or three in a battle because you have tanks like the Batchat 15558, which I on my stream I call it three artillery in one because it is.
right.
You fire three times. You generally, now that most artillery is not doing too much damage, it's still doing 500 to 600 pretty reliably, but 300 three times is game ending in some cases, especially with critical damage. So definitely I would lower it to one arty max per team per game.
Yeah, yeah. You're holding that corner, punishing them, and
Oh,
you're a
absolutely.
3 or 4 shot. Two artillery shots come in. The two guys that have been facing you, afraid to push you, realize you're a one shot. It's over. They just come get you.
That's exactly it. It's over.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
ruins game.
Okay, so wish number two. What do you wish you'd learned sooner in World of Tanks? What's the one big thing you wish you'd have realized sooner?
For me, I wish I learned how to play light tanks sooner. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
when when people ask me what's a good tank to get better at the game, I suggest the Leopard One, and the reason I suggest it is because look at it, like it's on a blueprint. You have no armor, so you can't really rely on that to make up for your mistakes. You get punished if you make a mistake. You have a great gun, so you're rarely gonna miss due to RNG. You're gonna miss because you either aimed bad or you'll get RNG'd, but that's more less so.
yeah,
You have a great view range to do V range sort of plays. You have great camo as well to comparatively to everything else you're fighting. Um, it really gives you the extremes of player skill, right? It forces
yeah.
you to get good at mechanics such as positioning, usage of camo, and concealment. In regards to, I'm sure everybody has an idea of vision mechanics to an extent, or at least they know they exist.
Right.
Uh, it's a lot of I wish light tanks because it's the same regard. It forces you to make good plays, get map knowledge, get positional knowledge, and I think it really promotes good gameplay that'll translate even to heavy tanks because you have an idea of what you're fighting.
Yeah, I tell people that as well, the exact same thing. And really, what I tell people is play all the classes. Even TUI, artillery. The only
Yeah,
reason for that is because
because
you
you're
learn what
ahead.
they can hit, right?
Yep,
Yep, they learn.
absolutely,
They learn. You start to learn the idea of what they can do, what they can't do, where they can be, where they're not going to be, where they
for
can
sure.
hit. In light tanks especially, even TDs to some extent, to learn where the hell they're all hiding, so you can figure
Exactly,
that
because you
out.
get the bushes that are kind of the
Yeah,
go-to.
because exposing yourself is a problem in the game. If you can minimize your exposure, that
For sure.
keep your HP, what I call
Absolutely.
maintain your vote till the end of the game. That's how you win
Mhm.
more games.
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody else use that in the same way. I call it a currency, right? You
Yeah.
have full HP, let's say $100. If you spend $80 at the start of the game, you're not going to be able to do much later on. I completely.
Yeah, absolutely. Maintain your vote. Maintain your vote. Well, all right, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming by. So you have a Twitch stream? Do you do YouTube or anything else?
I do, but not too reliably. Twitch is definitely the way to catch me since I'm there 7 days a week.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And your schedule again? Go ahead and hit it up again. Let everybody know.
Uh, Monday through Saturday, so 6 days of the week from 6 p.m. Eastern to midnight. Feel free to do a Google search and translate that to wherever you're living. And then
Yeah.
Sundays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, so only 3 hours. But otherwise, I'm there every single.
Very cool. I'll get all your details. That'll be down in the description for everybody.
Okay.
That's all I got. Anything else? Any parting shots? Give me the best Nick Shock's wisdom. Do you have any sayings or anything that you say during the?
Sayings?
Yeah,
Shit.
you don't have a
Oh, it put
catchphrase.
me on the spot.
No,
Nothing I think I could say on YouTube. No, I'm not
that's
too
right.
sure.
You dirty
But
bleepity bleep arty or
oh
something like.
yeah, for sure, of course. If you catch me on a bad day, absolutely. I don't know. Other than that, no.
Okay.
Just thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man, it was great. Enjoyed the
As well.
conversation. Everybody, go check out Nick Shock's uh, Twitch stream. I'll think of the word in here in just a minute, because I guarantee you, you watch that stream, you're going to come away a better player, 100%. All right, man, I appreciate it. Say goodbye to the folks.
Yeah. Thank you all. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview, and if you have any other questions, you could definitely catch me on my stream. So I'm happy to answer. My biggest thing is talking to chat. So definitely don't be afraid to come in and say hello. Thank.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick does a lot of interaction, so that's a good thing. All right, guys, we are out of here. See ya.